I've never left IKEA without eating those famous meatballs, but I want to show you in the comfort of your own homes how to make an even better meatball. Oh my god, it's like liquid gold for me, man. Alright, as I promised, I was going to show you how to make the most amazing meatballs, yeah? This is how the meatballs come. This is ready-made, and in a traditional meatball, it's usually a mix of beef and pork, if you go for a Swedish meatball, but here we're using 100% beef. And the reason we use beef is because it's got a lot of flavor inside. The cut that we're using is called brisket. Brisket has a lot of fat content, which makes it really juicy. So let me tell you what's in this meatball. You're gonna have minced brisket, garlic, smoky rosemary, parsley, grana panado cheese, milk, butter, pink salt, black pepper, and vegetable oil. And the trick to this dish is we want to see how we're gonna get this gravy to be inside the meatball. So let me show you how. How do you make sure it's juicy? How do you get it the same way that it is in the restaurant? And to tell you the truth, a lot of it is always the technique. The technique is what's gonna bring about all this beautiful flavor. So now on a medium heat, right, you realize that I put oil in first, yeah? And the reason we put oil in first and then add butter later is to make sure the butter does not burn. Because when the butter burns, you get this sort of bitter flavor, and that's not what you want. So we want to cook the meatballs on a low heat, and low heat is important. So right now I'm going to take the meatballs out of the packet. You don't really want to shape them too hard, but you can sort of just get them into that beautiful shape. And you know, when we make the meatballs, right, we don't want to press all the meat and compress it together, because what it allows is, it allows to have holes within the meat, and that's when we want to get all that sauce inside. So right now we're putting this on, and for this recipe we're going to probably hit about 5 to 6 meatballs. But if you're feeding a big family, or you know, you want to go maybe 3 to 4 meatballs a person. So you hear that sizzle, right? So that sizzle is the one that's also important. If you don't hit it high enough, it starts to boil. You can see all that going on, and that's what you want. And now and again, we want to agitate the pan. So we're going to let that sit there, and we're going to cook it for roughly around 2 to 3 minutes before we're going to add on the beautiful, luscious gravy. I don't know why, something excites me with the smell of these meatballs. You know, when the aroma goes into the room, it's just the most amazing thing. So this is the color that we want, and don't be afraid to use your hand as a second utensil to turn, yeah? So we don't want it over-colored. As you see, I'm not frying the meatballs. I'm sort of letting it cook in its own juices, because some of the fat is melting within the meatball, causing more flavor to caramelize. And I'm agitating the meatball slowly like that, but this is what I want. It is at this point that I want to add the sauce in. And the most important thing, this is the sauce that we're adding in. We're adding in a mirepoix. Mirepoix is celery, carrot, and onion. And we're adding a chicken gravy. This is done by Sue's Deli, but let me tell you what's in this. This is reduced chicken stock, leek, celery, carrot, thyme, rosemary, Sarawak black pepper, which has one of the most gorgeous black pepper ever, tomato puree, unsalted butter, a little bit of flour, and yellow onion. So this has all been reduced, and what we want to do is we want to put this in, and we want to make sure that this sauce permeates the meatball. If we do it at a later stage, what's going to happen is that the sauce is not going to be able to enter the meatball. So it's just got to go in that perfect time. Timing is everything here. And you don't want to use any powdered sauces and stuff like that. You want to go for the real deal. You want to go for stuff that is natural, bone broth, which is good for your body. So if you can see, this thing is slowly coming, and now it's getting onto a boil, and what we want to do is we want to get all this sauce into the meatball, which is really, really, really important. So we never want to kill the meatball. A lot of people fry the meatball like for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. We don't want to do that. We want to let the meatball cook in the gravy. So we don't want to finish cooking. The problem is a lot of people finish cooking the meatball and then they add the gravy, right? So here what we want to do is we want to make sure we half cook the meatball and then add the gravy, and we can make the gravy inside here so the gravy goes inside the meatball. That's how you get those restaurant quality meatballs. So now I'm going to add just a teaspoon of mustard. A teaspoon of mustard, maybe a tiny bit more because I feel generous today. And then what we're going to add, a couple of teaspoons of cream. just to richen the sauce. Because remember, this chicken mirepoix gravy is already very strong. So if it's sticking to the pan a little bit, what do you want to do? You want to make sure that you just agitate the pan, mix the meatballs around, and let the gravy reduce. You want to sort of achieve a custard-like texture. And what we're going to make with this recipe, we're going to put tomato butter focaccia, and we're going to plate it up. So let me show you how to get that tomato butter focaccia. So as I promised, I'll teach you how to do the tomato butter toast. And here we've got Italian focaccia bread, and we're going to use tomato butter, sun-dried tomato butter, and inside we have semi-dried tomatoes. We got a bit of winter truffle, unsalted butter, some chopped blended cashew nuts, and Italian parsley. As you know, there's no preservatives, nothing inside, so it's all luscious like that. So we're going to spread this tomato butter on top, and what we're going to do, we're going to be naughty and we're going to lightly grill this guy. A lot of it to cooking, right, is the temperature control, learning how to control your heat, which is really important. So on a nice non-stick pan, it's really hot. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to off it. I'm going to add a little bit drizzle of olive oil. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the tomato butter toast on it to let it caramelize, and you get a sizzle. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? That's magic, I tell you. That sizzle is magic. Such kick I get from small things in life, I tell you. And you know, that's what's wonderful about cooking, right? It's the small little things, that the anticipation of you wanting to have this meal. I think it's important. And while I'm talking, I forgot I need to on back the fire. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Check your tomato butter toast. Oh my God, it's looking good. And I'm just going to swirl it around the pan to get that caramelization going. While that, my meatballs on a gentle boil, and I'm putting it on a very, very low boil because I really don't want to overcook the meatballs. You know, you can flavor any sort of butter. You can do herb butter, you can have winter truffle butter, you can have pesto butter, you can have it even, there's this thing that we make called gunpowder butter where you spread it on toast. And I think it's so versatile and enables you to try different things. Look at that, is what we want. Anything more than that, it probably would have been overcooked. How you want to know that your meatballs are good and that you're not overcooked it is you want to have a bit of bounce to it. You don't want to cook the bounce out of it. You don't want to cook it so much that all the juice is run out. That's not what you want. You want it to be juicy. So we're going to go move to plating up now. And for the garnish, it's very simple. Swedish meatballs, the garnishes are very simple. We're going with simple Italian chopped parsley. So we have this beautiful bread, as you can see, it's on there. And we're going to plate the meatballs in this bowl over here. So we're bringing it to a boil. We don't want to overcook the meatball. So now we're going to plate this meatball up. We want to spoon all that goodness, all that meat of there. And we're going to put the meatballs in first. As you see, they're still plump, they're still juicy. There's not too much oil in the sauce. I've used the fat that has come up from the meatball to make sure that the meatball has all that flavor. Wow, wow, wow. Look at that. Oh my God. It's like liquid gold for me, man. I don't know why, this just gives me such a kick doing these sort of things, you know. It just excites me to do it. I can't, it's something I can't explain, you know. We just want to garnish it with a little bit of Italian flat leaf parsley. I tell you, on a cold night, or we're in the tropics, so on a stormy night with a lot of all the rain, thunder line, to have a bowl, to tuck into a bowl of this for dinner will be amazing, and it takes it to the next level. And I just like fancy things, so I'm just going to be naughty and I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of cream on top because that's what I like. That's a personal thing. You can do that if you want. And for the bread, I'm just going to drizzle a tad bit of extra virgin olive oil. And this, I would say, is the most beautiful, most amazing tomato butter toast with Swedish meatballs. And this is a personal thing, and I want to just spoon a bit of gravy. Oh, you gotta taste this out. Remember, cooking time for the meatball alone, nothing more than a couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes before the sauce goes in. Because when the sauce goes in, that's when the cooking stops and the sauce goes in. Look at that, all that juice inside. I'm very excited that I got to share this with you. It just helps me to let people know my passion, to let people know how to cook at home and how to get better meals at home. Please try the recipe out. Let me know what you think. If you liked it, you didn't like it, put the comments in. I'll reply to each and every one of them personally. I'm Navin Karu signing out for today. See you next time. Whatever. Whoa, I'm coming. You keep rolling. Wait. I'm getting it. 1, 2, 3, 4. What the f am I supposed to say?